Hello and welcome to Ignite. I'm Daniel Hidalgo, a product marketer on the data security team. And today we're excited to share some new innovations around how we are helping secure and govern your data estate with Microsoft Purview. I am joined by my colleague Vivek, product lead on the data security platform. Thank you for joining us, Vivek.
Thank you, Daniel. It's great to be here. There's a lot to share today. Let's go ahead and tell our audience what we have in store.
In this session, we will take a look at what we're hearing from customers, some trends in the industry, and share our newest innovations for comprehensive data security and governance with Microsoft Purview. We have some great demos in store for you as well, so let's dive in. In the digital age, data has become the lifeblood of organizations, and safeguarding the entire data estate has never been more critical. Data is generated at an unprecedented pace, and not just in structured databases, but also in unstructured formats, from emails to documents and social media interactions. This sheer volume makes it challenging to keep track of where the sensitive data resides. Additionally, data is spread across cloud environments, on-premises servers, and employee devices. Managing and securing data across these diverse platforms can be complex and prone to vulnerabilities. We engage with customers all the time, and when talking to them, one thing is clear. They are either already multi-cloud or in the process of it. Multi-cloud strategies have become the new norm. In fact, research suggests that more than 90% of organizations are adopting multiple cloud infrastructures, platforms, or services to run their business. However, this lack of visibility into their digital infrastructure exposes them to significant risks, which generates blind spots and may lead to data security incidents. In our most recent Data Security Index report, we found that decision makers think they're protected, but reality doesn't match perceptions. In the report, we found that organizations experience an average of a recent survey with over 500 CISOs, an overwhelming majority stated that managing multi-cloud complexities was the biggest pain point. Having more tools does not mean greater data security. In fact, it is the opposite. And although most decision makers agree that comprehensive integrated solutions are superior than best of breed, organizations continue using an average of more than 10 solutions to secure their data estate. The market research firm IDC predicts that the data sphere will double by 2026. At Microsoft, we believe that data security is not an aftermath. It is table stakes, and it cannot exist in isolation. We believe that effective data security requires a defense-in-depth strategy. So the first layer is around visibility, as you can't protect what you can't see. So you need to have a bird's-eye view into your data. And once you know where your data lives, you can apply protection mechanisms around your most sensitive data by organizing it, labeling it, and classifying it effectively. Third, data doesn't move itself. It's people who move and interact with data, and that's where the risks come from. Therefore, you also need capabilities that can help you understand the user intent and identify critical risks to prevent data from potential security incidents. And lastly, you need this to be adaptable. Organizations need help in addressing the most critical risks in a dynamic fashion, efficiently prioritizing their limited security resources on the highest risks while minimizing the impact of potential data security incidents. To help organizations address these challenges, last year we announced the new Microsoft Purview, your solution for comprehensive data governance, security, and compliance on all your data wherever it lives. The new Microsoft Purview combines our solutions for data security for security leaders, data governance for data officers and consumers, and data compliance for risk leaders into one unified experience and a unified underlying platform. This is a huge step in our promise to help you protect your entire data estate. Vivek, can you share how we're making it easier for customers to protect their data estate with this new experience?
Thank you, Daniel. As you mentioned, Purview's promise is to offer a solution to serve data security, governance, and compliance challenges while keeping data privacy bound to its core. This not only gives customers a 360-degree view of the data assets across their estate, but also enables them to manage the controls from a unified pane of glass. Our objective is to take the Microsoft 365 protections you rely on every day, like labeling and classification, and extend them to structured, unstructured, and multi-cloud environments. Like Daniel mentioned before, we are enabling this by unifying experiences across security, compliance, and governance, leveraging the core Purview platform to have a unified view of the entire data estate and to drive consistent data classifications and insights, and delivering a unified policy framework, taking what we do very well in Microsoft 365 and expanding it across the entire data estate. Let's dive right into the demos. Let me walk you through a few of these reinvented experiences. The Unified Purview portal has been completely reinvented so that customers can easily discover and use the full family of governance and protection solutions. This enables customers to easily access and utilize all features and capabilities of Purview, such as data discovery, data catalog, information protection, DLP, and insider risk management. Each solution is optimized for jobs to be done where admins can complete their tasks within the context of that solution. Customers can see a quick snapshot of their sensitive data exposure and their security and compliance posture with detailed recommendations for next steps tailored for their organization. Purview also makes it easy to access information about its features and capabilities through an easy-to-access knowledge center. Unified Purview will now offer a true multi-cloud experience by supporting the same features and capabilities available within M365 across Microsoft Fabric, Azure, and AWS. At the heart of this unified portal is the Purview data map, which offers a consistent way to connect to these clouds, discover data assets, and scan, classify, label, and protect information stored within them. With support for 6 clouds, including M365, Azure, Fabric, and AWS, apart from on-prem environments, connecting to data systems within these clouds is as simple as registering them and initiating a scan. You can choose to scan all workloads or specific workloads within each environment by specifying the scope of the scan. Now, customizable scan rule sets allow you to exclude unwanted classification types and focus on the most important and relevant classification rules within the organization. You can also choose to run a full or incremental scan, which can also be scheduled to run during off-peak hours to avoid processing overloads at the source. Purview will continue to add more data systems within these clouds, automatically expanding the security and compliance coverage. As data is scanned and classified, you can navigate to the Microsoft Information Protection solution to explore sensitive information detected across the organization and gain valuable insights while building a strategy towards comprehensive data protection. You can view the classification, label, and protection status across the organization while initiating some of the recommended next steps towards expanding coverage or adding protection. The reporting interface has been greatly enhanced to derive quick insights while acting as an entry point to the Data Explorer, which allows you to drill down and understand the distribution of sensitive data across structured and unstructured data systems. Now here, I have selected to filter on a particular sensitivity label and can now drill down to the exact table within an Azure SQL database that has a column labeled by Purview while seeing a preview of the data held within that table.
Thank you, Vivek. This is really awesome, and I'm excited to see how this facilitates the journey for our customers. As I mentioned before, you can't protect what you can't see, and it's great that we're bringing this unified experience to life. Speaking about securing your data estate, I want to walk through a scenario. Today's data lifecycle is extremely complex. Data is created, transformed, processed, and stored, across many different systems and environments, making it challenging to protect. As data moves from one system to another or is transformed to suit another system, the protection mechanisms applied at one system often break down. This is especially apparent when you try to secure structured and unstructured data, and even more apparent when you try to protect data in other cloud repositories. At Microsoft, we are committed to helping customers secure their entire data estate, no matter where it lives. Vivek, can you walk the audience through how we're extending the sphere of protection across structured as well as unstructured data?
Absolutely, Daniel. The unified policy framework where you could define the policy once and apply it anywhere, which was only available within the M365 context, has now been seamlessly expanded so that the same level of enforcement can be applied across the entire data estate. Let's start by creating a new protection policy and give it a name. Now, since this is a label-based protection policy, let's choose a label based on which protection will be applied. In this case, I'll pick the label confidential FTE. You can now choose the data sources against which this policy should be applied. You can also scope the policy down to specific databases or storage buckets. In this example, I'm scoping this policy to a specific SQL Server instance and an Amazon S3 bucket. Note how the system automatically informs you about the number of assets impacted by the policy and the policy enforcement status, which is really important since it ensures the policy you're defining is enforceable at the workload. Next, you can define which users or groups are allowed access to data that is labeled confidential FTE, since the system enforces a default deny all to all other users within the organization. You can then choose to turn on the policy immediately or save it and turn it on at a later stage. Now let's take a look at the user experience as this policy is enforced across SQL and AWS S3. Let's take a look at a real scenario where Nathan, a data engineer, is responsible for creating the data pipelines needed for business intelligence reporting. He needs to curate information present in cold stores across ADLS and S3. Nathan is allowed to handle both sensitive and non-sensitive information and bring them into SQL for processing and data warehousing to generate reports. Nathan uses SQL Server Management Studio to run his query against a table that has columns that contain sensitive information and has the label confidential FTE applied. It looks like Nathan was allowed to run this query because he belonged to the French FTEs group. Now, let's consider Alice, who's a vendor within the org and is responsible for building customer support reports, which should only include non-sensitive customer information. She sees that the customer table has the information she needs for her reports and tries to run the same query but is blocked from doing so. However, as soon as she adjusts the query to include just the non-sensitive data columns, she is allowed to execute the query and obtain the information she needs. The same level of protection is also applied in AWS S3. When Alice tries to access a file called transactions, which contains sensitive personal information and is tagged with a label confidential FTE, she is blocked from doing so. And Daniel, all of this is dynamic. So as new data sources are added, the policy scope can be seamlessly expanded and the protection actions can be enforced.
This is great. One of the biggest pain points that we hear from customers is that solutions can either secure your structured data or set controls within your unstructured data, but rarely does one solution cover both. With these innovations, customers can trust that the protection mechanisms won't break through the data lifecycle. Lastly, in addition to all of these content insights and protections, we also need to understand the user risks that may lead to potential data security incidents. Importantly, you need both content and user context to have comprehensive visibility into your data security risks and prevent incidents from happening. As we expand horizons into multi-cloud sources, can you share the investments that we're making in expanding the coverage of our insider risk management solution, Vivek?
That's right, Daniel. While you can do so much more with proactive information protection, what about legitimate users who have access to sensitive data and may intentionally or unintentionally end up doing risky activities? As users within organizations utilize multiple applications and cloud services in their day-to-day work, security teams must comprehend the risks associated with these user activities that may lead to potential data security incidents. Now, to serve that exact use case, we have enhanced insider risk management to seamlessly digest, process, and correlate events from Azure, AWS, Box, Dropbox, Google Drive, and GitHub, providing ready-to-use indicators to identify potential data theft and data leak activities across the digital estate. With any new or existing data theft and data leak policies, you are now prompted to connect cloud applications through Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps. As you can see here, I have already activated these connectors, therefore I can activate indicators within my insider risk policies. You can activate some or all the cloud services and cloud storage indicators for Purview to start correlating events and generating alerts for risky activities that may lead to potential data security incidents. Now, as you know, alerts generate email notifications, and alert details are populated in the alerts dashboard, providing investigators risk insights from user activities across all cloud applications. Now, here it looks like a data exfil activity was detected in Azure Storage, where the user first escalated his privileges to manage all subscriptions, then made critical files from storage publicly accessible by changing the network access settings of storage accounts and blobs. All of these insights are now consolidated into a single alert, enabling analysts to expedite the review and response process. Back to you, Daniel.
Thank you, Vivek. These are all awesome capabilities. And these are making it easier for customers to discover, protect, and detect risks across their data estate. We are just in the beginning of our journey to secure data wherever it lives and travels. Throughout the following months, we will continue adding more environments across our solution stack. Thank you for watching, and take a look at our resources from mechanics videos to deployment resources and blogs, and stay tuned for more.